Baseball is alive and well on Cestus 3. Jake knows his dad only cooks Hungarian food when he's in a really good mood. And Brunt, FCA, says he got the job at FCA with hard work, bribes, sucking up to the boss, just like any other job. Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Seventh Rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello, hello.
Wow, we got a bonus hello. This is a special day. This is feeling like a special day. Was it because of the baseball is back on Cestus 3? That put me in a good mood.
Yeah, it's a regular Cestus pool.
Oh, zip, I was wrong. It's going to be a bad day. My name's Ryan T. Husk, by the way. Today we are reviewing Deep Space Nine, Season 3, Episode 23, Family Business, Double Entendre, as always, with Star Trek and Deep Space Nine. Titles, always a great one. Directed by the late, great, incredible, beautiful Rene Auberjonois, and written by our friends Ira Stephen Bear and Robert Hewitt-Wolf. Yeah, how cool is that Rene directed it? Always, when you see directed by one of the actors, you always say, okay, I know that actor is not going to be in this episode very much. And he only had the one scene where he goes like, Quark says, how do you know that? He goes, huh. How are you, man?
I'm doing good. Actually, I enjoyed that scene because of the irony of Quark thinking about his own personal interrogation with his mom and extracting information from her. And I thought that was I like the way that Rene played the irony there. Like, is this guy telling me? Is he saying what I think he's saying?
Right. And speaking of which, I'm glad you brought that up because our buddy Ira Bear's middle name is actually Nee.
Oh, okay. All right. I guess it's going to be...
Okay, we both started off down here.
Should we go back to the top? Back to the top.
Back to one. Self-sealing.
Back to the one.
Self-something.
Seventh rule, take two. No, but I did like that. I actually didn't pay attention to the fact that Rene directed the episode. I'm glad you brought that up. And he did have just a little piece, and so did O'Brien and Bashir. So I'm sure all of those guys really had the week off, and I'm sure we're happy to because, sometimes you get stressed and overworked when you're doing these things.
You're right. That's something I hadn't really considered is they still brought them each in for like one silly little scene here or there just so that they could collect their paycheck and justify it. But really, they all worked one day and they had the week off. And you're right. It's probably because, you guys have been slogging through. This is episode 23 in a season. You guys are probably like, I'll take any day off at this point.
I'll take any day off. And I mean, with the exception of Rene, who actually took the day off, but ends up having to do probably more work.
A busier week, yeah.
Yeah, the amount of preparation involved with directing, it's a full-time thing. There is no a break during the daytime when you're filming, and probably not at night when you're preparing for the next day. So.
And in order for those people to get a day off, that means other actors had to do the heavy lifting. And we really get to feature these other actors. Some are regulars or, recurring, and others are first-timers. But first, let's talk about, because I totally keep forgetting about this, the most important thing to talk about besides this entire episode is that you guys can go ahead and go to patreon.com/the7th-rule if you'd like to give us a virtual high five, monetarily speaking. Or if you don't want to do anything monetarily speaking, just make sure you subscribe to these videos, subscribe to wherever you're watching this, comment in the comment section below, give us a like, share this video, and that will help us a ton because our marketing department's on strike lately. So we've got this giant marketing department, and they've been it's actually a vacation. Anyway.
Well, they're dealing with the NFL and the NBA since they came back, so that's their main account, and then we're their third largest account. But,
right. And baseball, there's too much to talk about. Let's stick with what we're talking about. The actors that really stepped up and carried this episode, right?
Yeah, and speaking of which, I wanted to ask you about the actor that played the FCA liquidator. Is that wasn't because my guess was, and I didn't look it up.
I
I'm
think
just
your guess
guessing.
is
Was
going to
that
be
Jeffrey
right.
Combs?
Yes, sir.
No.
Yes. Oh, man.
Oh man, and he totally doesn't. He doesn't look anything like Jeffrey Combs.
You know,
Well, he doesn't. I mean, I couldn't find anything that would any distinction, anything
Yeah,
that would,
but
like his eyes I was looking at.
your video froze for like 1 second, and I was looking forward to seeing your reaction when I said yes, and it was stolen from me. But how did you figure out it was him?
Because of his way of talking, just being around him enough. First of all, he's a fantastic actor.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first indicator. Like, this guy's a really good actor, like exceptionally good. He's not just he's not a day player, and he's not just a guy that came in for one thing. This guy is really, really good. So that was one thing that I noticed.
Mm-hmm.
But then I started to look for things or elements about his facial features to see if that would give it away. And I missed his name in the credits, so I didn't see that. But I started to study his face a little bit. I couldn't find anything that gave it away that it was Jeffrey Combs. I mean, not the eyes, nothing. The cheekbones, there was nothing recognizable.
Wow.
Yeah.
High praise to the makeup department there then.
Yeah. The only thing I had to go on was how great a performer he is. And I said, this guy is so good. It's got to be Jeffrey Combs. There's no way. So
yeah,
that's how
it's definitely a fan favorite character. But Jeff has a lot of fan favorite characters. This is probably his third most popular character. The top two are, of course, Wei-Yun, who is my favorite. And the other one, who I think gets more first place votes than even Wei-Yun, is Shran, an Andorian character on Enterprise. He kind of plays Captain Archer's foil, and especially for like the entire fourth season. But anyway, yeah, Jeff Combs doing what Jeff Combs does best, showing off an acting clinic and calling it Deep Space Nine.
Well, he has certain things in his mannerisms. He takes pauses in certain places when he's delivering his lines. Those pauses kind of gave me a little bit of a hint. His facial expression, like when he was blocking his face from looking at Quark's mom.
Yes.
The way he did it.
He's like, oh God, I can't. Oh.
Yeah. The way he did it, I was like, that's that body motion, the movement. That's a Jeffrey Combs move, So he has signature aspects of his performance, not his face, not his not even his voice, just his performance, his body movements, and the way he delivers lines are so signature that I was able to deduce it just from that. I really didn't know he was going to be in this episode.
It really is like he has his own brand, like the Jeffrey Combs brand, which is kind of out there, kind of eccentric, but not so far that it's like extreme, just enough to where he can hit completely different characters in totally different angles, but all of them being, very creative in their own way. Like none of them are just like a regular dude. He doesn't play a regular dude. He plays a very interesting character. The first person that actually opened my eyes to being a brand was actually Shaquille O'Neal, which is something totally different. He was talking about himself as a brand, and I realized you're right that very good basketball players, very famous or great actors, musicians, they have a brand. They start to just say, look, this is my brand, this is my company, this is what I represent. And Jeff Combs definitely does, I think. He's
a really talented man, and really a good person when you get to know him and talk with him. He's such a pleasant person to be around. But yeah, he did a fantastic job as this, IRS agent.
Totally.
Collecting inventory. I like the pauses. For example, the first pause he did, which I really enjoyed, was when Quark was asking about, do you have an inventory of what it is? And he just kind of he did one of these look backs. Like, if you pay me, but he didn't say it. He didn't say it, and eventually Quark understood it to say, "Oh yeah, I have to bribe you." But so yeah, that can't say enough about Jeffrey Combs. He's just a really great guy.
Yeah, and we also got to see the Ferengi Homeworld. I think, was this the first time we gotten to see it so far in Deep Space Nine? And so. I love it when they expand our knowledge of a certain race. Like we saw the Trill Homeworld in that fantastic episode that wasn't fantastic. The one where they're in the milky water and like little worms are squirming between their legs or whatever. But, and then we see Cardassia, which was a great one when, Miles goes over there, and then we get to see the Klingon homeworld when Quark goes over to marry Grilka. And now we get to see Ferenginar and all of their just outrageous customs. And they're like, we already think they're weird when they're on the station, but to see them amongst themselves where everything is about money, like, can I have a seat? Oh, that's three strips of Latin. And he goes, I'll just stand. He goes, that's one strip of Latin. It costs you a buck just to stand.
Yeah, just to stand.
Yeah.
Remind me of being on an airline these days. So, but yeah, we got to see the world. I noticed that the arches in the doorway were even low for Ferengi, and I thought that was kind of an architectural thing that they did, where they had these really low doorway arches that even Quark had to duck underneath.
Right, I noticed that too. Yeah,
I was just saying, well, maybe they evolved from an even shorter species. Maybe they were shorter even before. But I'd like to see their homeworld. I like to see their customs. I thought this episode really did something that, I think in the documentary, Ira was talking about different things that he felt like DS9 checked off, right?
Yeah,
they addressed racism, right? They addressed sexuality. They addressed a lot of these different topics, and he went through and very smartly checked off things that he did touch on or maybe even expanded on. And this one, for me, would fall under the category of women's rights,
Right.
It's under that umbrella for me.
Yeah, especially because they went so extreme with it. Like, completely outrageous, impossible, baffling, ridiculous, extreme with it. But then, when you stop and think about it, you say, well, it was pretty bad 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Like, it makes you say, well, this is really extreme, but we were pretty bad a few decades back. You know what I mean? If this was done, in the 50s or in the 20s, 1920s, it wouldn't land the same way, because they'd be like, what's the big deal? Cool. Women don't wear clothes. Awesome.
She's supposed to be cooking. So yeah, there would be a whole lot of stereotypes that wouldn't really land the way they did. And when it wasn't as absurd. I mean, I guess having her naked all the time is the real major absurdity. But
yeah, because we don't, you wouldn't necessarily want your wife going to the grocery store naked, right? Or inviting friends over, your wife inviting friends over for a couple drinks naked, or things like, you'd be like, maybe you can have some clothes, I guess.
Yeah, but there were other aspects, like, where she says, she has an opinion on things, or she's talking when she shouldn't be talking. Those are kinds of concepts that actually did exist.
Totally.
Or, in our culture, which is, very sad to say. But, this would fall under that particular category. I thought it was really good to see Rom and Quark as brothers. Usually, even though they are brothers on the station, because Rom has a subservient role to his bigger brother, it feels as though he's like the dad almost, or something else. It just doesn't feel, you don't really see the dynamic underneath the umbrella of the mother or a parental figure. So I like to see that. I like to hear the backstory about their father and their genetics, where they come from. So I enjoyed that.
Yeah, and they definitely did act like siblings when they're rolling around on the ground and pulling on each other's ears and just wrestling around like two little stinkers. And you definitely see the Rom and Moogie love, where he's like putting his head on her naked lap and just nuzzling around in there. And I kind of noticed that like Rom, he kind of sings when he says Moogie. He doesn't just say like Moogie and stretched out, but he kind of goes like Moogie. He just. I'm like, it's almost like he's singing out there for a little while, But, and as we know, he does sing. So I wonder if that's kind of plays into part of what he does, at least his vocal delivery.
I think so, and I think it's pretty. It's great because he just makes he creates this whole, nickname thing where it makes it just feel like it's personal to him. I really liked his performance in this. I liked him stepping up to Quark and kind of standing up to him and slapping him around like, hey, can't you see what's going on?
Yeah.
And I also wanted to say that the woman that played Moogie had a few moments that I thought were pretty special. I liked the way her eyes would light up in certain moments, and she conveys so much emotion with her eyes.
Right. Andrea Martin. Now, this was when watching these scenes, I couldn't help but picture, what Armin and Aaron would always talk about, where they would get together on the weekend and they would practice their scenes. I think they would go to Armin's place. I think that's what it was. And they probably did that almost every week, with whatever scenes Armin was doing. But this was probably a very heavy weekend for them because they had like 3/4 of the scenes. And I can't help but just picture those days because they talk about them fondly. And just picturing Max and Armin and Andrea and Jeff Combs all getting together, probably in the valley somewhere, and at Armin's place, and just going over everything, having a few laughs. Andrea's probably saying, since it's one of her first times, she's saying like, "Hey, how about if I do it like this? What do you think?" And they're just like, "Oh my God, brilliant!" Because she did a great job. And so I'm sure when they were rehearsing together, they were probably very happy with it. They're probably like, "Oh, this is going to be great," And it's just fun to picture that camaraderie that they must have had working on these things together.
Yeah, the same thought crossed my mind. I thought about those rehearsals at Armin's place, and I felt like a lot of the beats were already timed out between the actors. They knew what they wanted to get done, which probably made it a whole hell of a lot easier for Renee.
Exactly.
On the directing side, right? He's like, "All right, you guys already know what you're gonna do, and I'll just light it and set it up." And there were beats there that I wanted to bring up too that I thought were non-scripted beats.
Oh, cool.
For example, when Quark is headed to the airlocks and he's about to leave to go see his mom and work this whole thing out, Rom comes running up behind him and says, "Hey, I'm going with you, brother," and Quark tries to talk him out of it, but then finally agrees. He says, "All right, fine, you're coming." But that whole scene, Quark had a bag over his shoulder. That was his little duffel bag to go. And at the end of the scene, they finish their exchanges, and Quark's like, "All right, fine, you can come." And the bag, he takes off and throws it to Rom, like, "You carry this," right?
Like he's his porter.
Yeah, and I felt like that was a natural. I don't know if that was scripted. I felt like that's something that Armin would just do. Like, yeah, I feel like that's something that Armin would just say, "You know what? Here, you take this." since you're coming, no, you got to hold this.
And so Armin's like, Renee, what do you think of this? And he plays it, and then Renee goes, huh, I like it. Keep it. I like it, Armin.
I like it. Yes. So that was one of the beats that I felt like that was just them working out so much timing, having so much rhythm, and just like he can create that on the fly. And it just felt like it was created on the fly. If you watch it again, the way the bag is holding, it almost like he realizes at the last second, like, oh yeah, here, take this. So I may be wrong, but I just feel like that's one thing that they added just because they had so much chemistry and it worked out all the timing.
Yeah, that's a good point. And I do try to catch things where I wonder, was that an actor's choice, or was that a director's note, or was that just written into the script? And because it's always that trifecta of possibilities. And most of the time, I'll never know. I ask you, and sometimes other times we're just like, well, maybe. It was probably Avery, is what we usually say.
Yeah, sometimes yeah, exactly. Sometimes you'll know. If you can remember the details of this, the subscript of the script. So that's not an easy thing to do. I made a note of Moogie's earrings because I just thought the way the earrings came down and connected in the middle like necklaces was kind of an interesting wardrobe choice for the guys.
Yeah, they've got some peculiar jewelry on Ferengi Homeworld, I guess.
They do. But I did like the outfits that they were wearing. I think Quark might be the best dressed, if not, one of the best dressed characters.
Yikes.
He just has all these layers in this. I mean, he's really got nice outfits. And Rom as well had some pretty decent wardrobe changes in this one. And I like the dress that Moogie was wearing. It's kind of this, hip, colorful, looks like cocktail dress from the 50s that was all studded out and a little bit baggier, but I liked it.
Yeah, I looked on IMDb, and that was actually Andrea's only time playing Moogie, apparently. And the other actress, I can't remember her name at the moment, must have taken over from there, but I don't know why they got a different actress to play her later on. You wouldn't happen to know, would you?
No, that part I don't know. One thing did jump out at me was that I felt like she was a little bit young, because you could tell underneath that prosthetics that she was probably younger than Quark and
a young buck. Yeah,
or at least the same age as them. So it didn't register that she was an older woman underneath the makeup. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, interesting. So we're going to go to our break in a hot, juicy second. Do want to tell you that we'll have the trivioids on the other side. We also have a few NAMs to go over. I'm sure you caught some NAMs, some very, very important NAMs. Those are non-appearance mentions. Also, a quick shout out to our good friend, Mr. Mohamed Noor, who is one of our newest associate producers and is helping out a ton with the upcoming virtual Trek Con. So shout out to our buddy, Mr. Mohamed Noor, the Dean of Natural Sciences at Duke University. I can't talk anymore. We should have just taken our break. At Duke University. And he's also a science consultant for Star Trek, but he can't tell you anything about it until it's all over. No juicy tidbits from him. Anyway.
No spoilers.
Yeah, nothing. So we're going to come right back on the other side on the seventh rule. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the seventh rule with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello, hello.
My name's Ryan T. Husk. We're reviewing Family Business, Season 3, Episode 23 of Deep Space Nine. And very quickly, there are a lot of pretty good trivioids. Sisko correctly identifies Rom's lock as a tripartite micro-sealing mechanism. I wonder how many times he had to practice that. Jake guesses that Sisko has convinced the Pelgenites to exchange ambassadors with the Federation, and he's right. Sisko only cooks Hungarian food when he's in a really good mood. We know that one. Rom gave Nog the night off for his Starfleet exams, that was the one I wanted to have up there. Brunt says he got the FCA job. We know that one. Moogie took a part of Quark's monthly stipend and invested in Hyperion Beetle Farm. Pardshay needs to stop being an idiot and get an anti-grav sled before he hurts himself. That's what Cassidy Yates told him, which is, we're bearing the lead here, not talking about Cassidy Yates yet. When you're working with the Patarians, you have to make do with what they give you. That's another KY. Cassidy Yates. I shouldn't say KY. Cassidy's youngest brother is a colonist on Cestus 3. There's a lot of really good stuff to cover. Let's jump into the Cassidy Yates. Finally, Cassidy has returned to Deep Space Nine.
Yeah, finally, she's here. And Jake's been doing a lot of gossiping and spreading the rumor.
Yes, he has.
He has been going around telling everybody that it's going down.
Mm-hmm. So it's funny because it's such a Ferengi-centric episode, but really the biggest part of that episode, I think, was the introduction of Cassidy Yates. We know in hindsight. Right.
It is the biggest part. And, it's kind of like, this is another example of the serialization of what Ira is doing and how they bringing up, stories and continuing the storylines into the next episode. So we have this flow and this ebb where it's constantly feels like you're watching it the next day in the life or a couple of days later. And, I really like Cassidy's whole introduction into this episode. Just about the talk about the gossip before she gets there, the building up of her coming, but I also like the fact that she's a freighter captain and that she's kind of a person in charge herself. So exactly. She has her own level of authority that she brings to the table. She's not like fawning over Commander Sisko, like, oh, wow, you're the boss.
Right. She's got a whole backpack full of I don't need you, slung over her shoulder.
Right. And I like that about her. And actually, I think Sisko finds that attractive about her, And she's like, yeah, I can do this. I got this. Like I've been doing this way before I met you. I just met you a second ago. So I'm not the damsel in distress. I'm not the, I need a big strong man to come over here and help me lift this thing up. So I like that about her confidence, her independence. I like that she's in a position of authority, and that she's also attractive, but not overly sexy.
Sexualized,
sexualized, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So those are all the real positives and pluses I think that Penny Johnson brings to this character. She brings a level of class, sophistication, intelligence, and I like the matching of wits with Sisko. There's points where she's like right back on top of him. This is not a level 7 transporter. I've got the version 5. It actually sounded like an iPhone. When people compare their iPhones, like, oh, I got the iPhone 11.
Yeah.
So,
she also had this air about her that we also like, which is she kind of lights up a room. And I'm not sure if it's an energy kind of thing, but physically speaking, she's got these very beautiful, expressive eyes, and she's got this amazing smile. She has this smile when the smile happens, you kind of can't help but feel yourself also, your cheeks are kind of spreading too, Mm-hmm. And so I think beyond all of the internal stuff, physically speaking, she also has a very loving demeanor. She has this demeanor where you want to know her, you want to love her, you want to talk to her. She seems like she's a great person, At least that's what comes through to me, and I've never met the actress. And the other thing related to that is on Sisko's part. Let's not forget that he does go to meet her. I'd forgotten that. I just assumed that Jake kept saying, "Oh, you should meet my dad," and "Oh, you should meet Cassidy. She's great." And then I assumed that they just kind of bumped into each other and were like, "Oh, hey, I guess we're supposed to meet each other." But no, Sisko actually said to himself, "Okay, I'll go meet this girl," because he went to her to speak with her. I thought that was pretty cool.
I did too, and I actually like the way that it came up, the scene prior to that, which is where O'Brien's, he's talking with O'Brien, and he says, "Yeah, O'Brien, if you need any help, I'll be." And he says, "Yeah, you'll be over there by cargo." It's like, no.
I mean, maybe, but no.
No. Why would I be over there? He's like, "Oh, I thought you'd be seeing that Cassidy." So I like the setup to that as well. But yeah, he takes the initiative. He finally, he hears it from enough places. I think there was also another moment that was kind of special between Dax and Sisko, where Dax says, "If I was Curzon, I would have stole her from you already," or something to that effect, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Which
that was our
Sisko
first.
know.
That was our first hint that this was a character that was going to stick around for a while.
Right. Also a hint that it was going to be somebody that was compatible with Sisko, right? Because that's his taste. It's somebody that would be up his speed, for example. So, I like those kinds of moments. They were small moments, but they also they lighten up Sisko's relationship with the crew as well, right? It's like, hey, there's a girl that likes you, or there's somebody out here for you. It takes it to a more playful place and allows them to grow like a different kind of bond between each other as characters.
Yeah, so it was great to see her, and we know that it goes well from there. But what especially made me happy was the direction that their conversation went later, where Sisko is just like, "Oh my God, baseball is being played on Cestus 3?" And she's like, "Yeah, for like the last 6 months." He's like how any of us would be. "How many teams are there? 6. What, do they use the designated hitter? No, they thought about it. What kind of bats do they?" Just like, "I got to see this. What's going on, man? There's baseball. Do they need a right-handed pitcher?" He's like, "I still got it."
Yeah,
that was fun. I like that a lot. I like that more than I should have, because I have a feeling that Ira really pushed for that, because I know Ira, right? Ira's a big baseball fan.
Yeah, but it's also, I think what they really highlighted in that moment, because it felt like it wasn't going as well as it should between them originally. And I think that happens in most cases when you are meeting somebody for the first time and you're trying to, build a connection and find common interests. And sometimes there's pauses and awkward pauses where you're like, okay, I guess it's not going to go farther than I think it is. And then you'll talk about something random, like, "Hey, do you watch Game of Thrones or something?" And it's like, "Yeah, and then there it is. It's like the one thing that opens it all up. It's like, "Oh my God, you're a Star Trek fan? I went to Creation. I did this. I go to conventions, da 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 da." And now you're found out that your whole worlds are exactly alike, as opposed to a second ago when you thought there's nothing that we have in common. This is not going to go well. This conversation is going to be boring. So I like that baseball was the thing that opened that, Pandora's box up for them.
Yeah, that was beautiful. That was awesome. And it also just made me happy as a sports fan to know that, like, if baseball ended, around 2150 or something, they just stopped playing. And then 200 years later, one of the plants started playing it again. I'm like, that's like a happy ending to me, like, to some people, they watch it, they're like, okay, that's funny or that's cute. But to me, I'm like, it's a happy ending for baseball. It makes me feel better that,
Right.
I don't know if it'll ever end, but we like our sports, and sports do a lot of cool things. It's exciting.
Yeah. The other thing that I thought of instantly, I don't know why this came to my mind when I was watching it, but I was thinking Sisko really needs to join some Facebook groups or something, so he can find out what's going on in in the quadrant around him, because clearly they've been playing baseball for 6 months and he had no idea.
Yeah, join the Cestus Comets Pioneers Facebook page, man. Like, what are you doing? Or the Pike City Pioneers and the Cestus Comets. They're the Pike City Pioneers.
Yeah. So you would think that there would be some way to find that out in the future. You'd get an alert on your phone or something like, bing, bing, something you're interested in is not too far away.
It's just all the way in Cestus 3.
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of a fun. I don't know why I thought of social media and why he would need to.
It's because you're a social media addict, Cirroc. We all know how active you are.
I don't like to brag. I really don't.
So we only have about 15 minutes left, but there's just so much to cover that I want to make sure that we also talk about the NAMs. We had a NAM for our superstar, Mr. Aaron Eisenberg. They mentioned that, Quark says, where's Nog? And Rom says, like, I gave him the day off to study for Starfleet exams or whatever he says. So that was cool. That gave us a nice little picture of him just lying on his bed, all studious, combing his little ear hair and studying for his exams.
Yeah, I liked it too. He also said he wants to work better hours.
Oh, yeah, that's right. And he thought that was so funny. He was very proud of his joke there.
Yeah, he was very proud of his joke right there. And the other thing that I liked is Quark's reaction to not going to Starfleet. He went on for a little miniature, rampage where he was not happy about it. He called it the end of the Ferengi as we know it. Not going to Starfleet is the end of the Ferengi as we know it. So that was just a little extra on there.
A little extra, yeah. He definitely thought it was something big news because he was just like, cats and dogs living together. What's next? It's gonna be insane. We also got to see, not to jump around too much, but that does remind me that on the Ferengi Homeworld, all the rain that was going on, we're always talking about the rain. And so how every time they came in and out, they're always like, it's like you would think that they'd be prepared. Every time they stepped out, it was almost like, shoot, it's raining. Don't they have, why don't they just have a permanent umbrella or have an umbrella hat for their giant fat heads? Like, come on, dude, it's always raining on Ferenginar. How are you not prepared? How has nobody in that capitalist society invented umbrellas or something? Come on.
Something. You would think. They're always like, wow, it's raining? Yeah, it's always raining.
Yeah. Just like every single day ever. We also got a NAM for Stoll. Or Stall? I think it was Stoll. That was Quark's cousin. Now, I don't know if that really is much of a NAM. I don't remember if he ever gets mentioned again. Mm-hmm. If he only gets mentioned once, then I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't even pay attention to that one.
And also Keldar. Keldar gets a few NAMs because that's Quark's dad. Because when Quark went to marry Grilka, he said, Quark, son of Keldar, Right. But we never see Keldar, and I don't know if we ever know much more about him than today's episode, but he does get mentioned a few times.
Yeah, a little backstory on the dad. Obviously not a good businessman, by the mom standards at least. Oh,
and we also talked maybe last week or the week before about different openings, and we did mention how it would be cool to have an opening between Jake and his dad, and we got that today. So that was cool. It was really nice to see Sisko humming his tunes. Good voice, by the way. Making some Hungarian food called chicken paprikash.
Paprikash.
Well, that's what Jake said, but then Sisko corrected him. He said paprikash.
Paprikash, tomato.
Yeah. So I don't know if that has to do with paprika or what the deal is there. But Hungarian food, that's today's quiz is Hungarian food, of course. There
was a bunch of Yo Mama jokes in this episode. Your mama wears clothes. Your mama talks to strangers.
Yeah. Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah.
They could have. It's had a bunch of yo mama jokes.
Your mama's so dumb, she makes a bunch of money.
And then gets audited by the FCA. Yeah, so this is a lot of yo mama jokes. But, you know, there was also there was a couple of moments there when Quark was explaining the whole thing about, you know, this, I think, you know, about the rules of tradition and how women are functioning in Ferengi society. And there were a lot of discussion about that. And in between the two, with the mom and Quark, Moogie says something like, this society could use a little more chaos, right?
Yeah.
And yeah, and I just like the arguments. I like the way she was defending herself and defending her position. Like, what's wrong with a woman doing this? Why can't I wear clothes? You know, she was making her arguments valid, and to the point where I almost wish that Quark turned her into the FCA and caused some sort of court action or whatever that eventually changed the culture for
like a high profile suit. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, like it goes to the Supreme Court, and eventually it's like, you know, it's one of the cases that changes
where they think it's cut and dry, but then all the women are kind of secretly rooting for her, and then not so secretly rooting for her, and then it makes people kind of think about it and be like, well, I mean, just think, if women also have the lobes to do this business, we could double the amount of people.
Right.
Why would we even hold them down in the first place?
Exactly. So I was almost wishing that this episode went in that direction, where they made the argument, they made the case that women should have the same equality as the men in Ferengi, so that there was some kind of change culturally for them. At least the dam breaking, that we could see that there was, you know, just a little bit of break in the norm, and that maybe the Grand Nagus or somebody started to perceive it a little bit differently. And I think that would have been the beginning of the kind of revolution that could help the Ferengi women have their freedoms and have their liberty.
You know, that's a great point. That would be very interesting. And that is something that Star Trek would do and has been known to do. That's really great. I wonder if they had considered that. I mean, there is more of that kind of stuff later on in Deep Space Nine, and I think this episode was more about introducing that situation and that character, and just kind of like how it's going to, you know, it's kind of like that seed that starts everything. Because, you know, as we talk about the serialized thing, it's much more of a large scale event to do into one episode. Usually they'll do like that kind of thing in one episode when it's like a race we've never heard of. You know, they land on some planet, the kids are playing hacky sack in the corner of the courtyard, and these people say, it's just the way we've always done things. You know, and Bashir goes, but that's not fair, you know? And then he fights, and, you know, and Chief O'Brien's like, don't worry about it, Julian, or whatever. And eventually they all rise up and change, and it's all because Julian was right, that it's not fair, or whatever, you know. But when it's something as big as Ferenginar, they're spreading it out over multiple seasons to give it, you know, more the attention it deserves, especially one that's this important, this kind of issue.
Yeah. And then I understand that most of this was really about the family dynamic, and that's why, you know, family business, hence the name. But it was really about how Quark, Rom, and his mom have their relationship. So they didn't want to take it too far and make it about women's rights issue in Ferenginar, but it could have gone that way, or at least started to go in that direction.
Oh yeah, and it definitely highlighted it a lot. I mean, yeah, absolutely. This was a women's rights kind of episode, but just within the smaller scale of this one family for now. But it'll definitely grow. You're right.
Yeah, and to complement that, they also showed a strong, powerful, opinionated woman in Cassidy Yates, right? So
Good point.
in this episode, they introduced two very strong and courageous women who are willing to stand up for their own, for themselves and for their beliefs. So I like that.
I hadn't thought of that. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, both of them. So that's, I mean, it's a nice touch. And they often do that where there's some sort of relation between the A story, B story. And this one, I felt like that was the common ground. The two of them were, both independent, strong women that had their own vision of what they wanted to accomplish. I wanted to just really quickly say something about Rom's line. I loved it a lot, that it just made me laugh out loud. And that was when he said, "And no shouting."
Yeah, I wrote that down too. He goes, "And no shouting. I'm going to go take a nap."
Yeah. And I laughed so hard on that one. I just thought that was funny. He had a couple of good lines in this one, but that was one of them. It just made me just say, this guy Max is so good he's so good at this Rom character, right?
Right. It's a big shout out to Max Grodenchik.
Yes.
And I feel like he's another one, we've said this before, but he's another one of those characters where the writers probably thought, okay, we'll have him in a few episodes here and there. And then they just realized that they struck gold. They're like, this guy is so fun. Such a fun character created by this actor that, when that happens, you kind of force the writers to say, okay, well, let's write him in more stuff because this is gold here,
Yeah, he is gold. And this interesting thing to me too, even though we've seen elements of Max's character Rom stealing from his brother and kind of aspiring to be a little bit rich and stuff, you didn't see that in this episode. I mean, he could have easily said, to his mom, "Hey, we've got money. I don't need to work for you, brother. I quit. Mom's rich." Something to that degree. But you could see that money wasn't the thing that was motivating him the most, and maybe
Totally.
once again that was proof that Moogie's words that Rom is like the father is the truth. Like, the father doesn't have the lobes for business. He doesn't have the lobes for wanting to get money, and Rom didn't seem to have the lobes for wanting money in this episode.
That's an interesting point because that makes me automatically think apparently Quark takes after his mom. The visionary, the one with the lobes, the one that is willing to take risks, You're right. That's a great point.
Yeah. Yeah. And she outsmarted the FCA in the same way that Quark outsmarted the FCA. Like, I see he said, it's against the law if you don't tell me about all your assets. And then Quark mentioned the Tullaberry wine. Rom, go get the Tullaberry wine. How come you didn't report them what you told me?
Tullaberry wine, that was the very first step into the Dominion, if I remember correctly. And the Gamma Quadrant, more like they were trying to open up trade, with a Tullaberry wine into the Gamma Quadrant, right? That's what that was.
Right.
I love it when they take us back and remind us.
I love it when they drop a little nugget like that, and they almost always do, and that's once again indicative of the serialization and how they don't let things stay in one episode. They carry them over.
There was also one. We've only got a minute left, but there was also one final thing I wanted to bring up, just very quickly, of like the silly lines when Moogie Ishka takes off her clothes. She's like, "Fine," and she takes off her clothes. Rom's like, "Please, Moogie, please take off your clothes." And she's like, "Okay, Rom." And she takes them off. She's like, "Better?" And he goes, "Much." Like, what is going on around here? Like, what's happening?
Yeah, that is hard for us to visualize because of that's just how we grew up in our own culture. Most people in the world, I think, do not hang out with their mom when she's naked. So
beg her to take off her clothes.
Yeah. So that's hard to swallow for a lot of us, but it is a funny little thing that they played. real quickly, I want to shout out to the Rubicon. I think they were naming one of the ships, and Sisko said, "Call it the Rubicon."
Yeah.
And the response was, "Good thing that there's a plenty of rivers or something
yeah.
like." Yeah. So just a little shout out to that little mention right there. I like that.
That was a fun one because then I kind of thought about it. I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. There's like the Ganges, and they've named a bunch of others, you know, and you go, okay, that's cool. Like every series seems to have kind of its thing that it names their ships after. As we know, the Lower Decks right now is all just cities in California.
Right.
Deep Space Nine liked the rivers.
Right. The Pacoima. Coming soon.
Ooh. So we're just about out of time here. Before we forget, let's give a quick shout out to our favorite people: Miss Carmen Shamwell, PJ Thomas, TJ Jackson-Bey, Bill Victor Arucan, Yvette Blackmon, Dennis Koch, Homer Frizzell, Eve England, Anne-Marie Segal, Titus Mohler, Tim Baum, Mr. Dr. Mohamed Noor, Susan B. Gruner, Rex A. Wood. And a lot of them are going to be joining us for the free-for-all next, and we hope that you guys join us for the free-for-all next as well. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, I just really happy to see that we've got Cassidy on board now, and that's the beginning of her journey on the show, and just welcoming her aboard. And I'm excited to see how she's going to soften Sisko up and change what we see with Sisko. So I'm excited about that.
Also, there are very few episodes in which Sisko has a goatee and hair. So really soak these episodes up, guys, because I think there are like 3 or 4 of them or something. I don't really remember exactly, but I remember there's a very brief moment in time, you know, or as Whitney Houston says, one moment in time.
Yes, that's what she says.
Oh, I was hoping you would sing it. I was like, is he going to sing it for me? I love that song.
I'm not singing it, though, but I do love that song. I would tear that song up. You got to do something easier for me, like Vanilla Ice or something. I can't do Whitney Houston.
All right. Give me what? No, I'm not going to do it either. I'm going to destroy it. All right. We'll see. We'll see on the other side on the free-for-all, guys. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the 7th Rule Free-for-all with Cirroc Lofton.
Hello.
We've got Mr. Mohamed Noor. I'm sorry I always say Mr. I meant Dr. Mohamed Noor.
Mr. is true, too.
Or Mr. Doctor.
Yeah, that's what I always end up saying. I go, Mr. Dr. Commander Homer Frizzell, TJ Jackson-Bey, Timothy Baum, and Susan V. Gruner. How are y'all?
Also a doctor.
Dr. Susan V. Gruner.
Yes.
Howdy.
So first things first, let's do the old T-shirt show off, starting with Homer. Homer, show us your shirt.
So from the 7th Rule shop, this is Ferengi Eyes. There they are. I thought it appropriate given the episode is Ferengi-centric. Though there is another story as well. It's quite awesome.
Let's hear it.
Yeah.
So Jake wanted to introduce his father to a freighter captain, and it happens in this episode. Stay tuned. Actually, no. You guys have already talked about it. So I really, really hope you enjoyed the heck out of that.
Yeah. Great background. Yeah. Sue, what about you? You had a pretty awesome shirt you showed us a second ago. Can you show us again?
I have to admit, it is awesome. Okay, so take up on the birth of Venus. So you can see Uhura. And there, and the back is way cool.
Wow.
Oh. That is a very cool shirt.
Awesome.
Yeah, I like the patterns. I like the colors. It's really cool. If they make that without the V-neck for men, I think I'd get one of those.
I'm not sure. But can I say where?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I got it on Etsy, but I think it's they have a male version as well. It took a month for me to get it, so I think they're making them maybe individually. Okay. I'm not sure.
Made to order.
Where to find it.
Well, that's your first piece of Star Trek
yes,
clothing, right?
I've ordered stuff from your shop, and I've ordered some other. I like funky, different things, so I've ordered some other weird, not usual, the usual Star Trek things.
If you like funky things,
finding like a uniform from the Next Generation. I think I was talking to Homer on Facebook about it. It is really hard finding good quality stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm going for the retro funky instead.
Yeah, you almost have to know somebody to get a good uniform.
It's true. Like eBay is where people get a lot of them, or at conventions.
Are they good quality ones that you can get at conventions?
They're expensive, but yeah.
Yeah.
That company, Ana, what is they called?
Novos.
Yeah, but those are the ones that are. I mean, I've never even tried one on because I saw the prices.
Yeah, but it is top quality though. I mean,
those are screen worthy, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they usually have a booth at the convention, so you can see most of their stuff, in person and get to feel and touch the fabric, and their stuff is legit. That's as far as uniforms are concerned, I think they're about as good as it gets.
Basically, in Starfleet.
I have a couple. They're awesome.
Really? Which ones do you have?
Got some really cool ones.
Okay, Ryan. So now, if you ask me that question, you'll find out that I have more than a couple.
What about if Tim asks the question?
No, I think the answer would be the same. I don't want to lie, even though a couple, I guess, probably was already. But I started out with TOS, and I have the velour of the 3 divisions. I have a Picard. I have an Enterprise jacket that I got on eBay. And then they also do these shore leave shirts. So you can get like a Captain Picard, but it's got short sleeves. It's kind of like throwback to the 1970s when they made the green Captain Kirk shirt on the animated series. So I have that one too. And then also the Command Gold one. So maybe I have 8 or 9, 10.
Price tag, schmice tag.
Well, I figure, you buy something, it's amortized, or the flip is like you buy a bunch of things over a long period of time. So it's kind of like amortizing too.
Right.
Sounds like a rationalization.
Go out one day and buy 10 uniforms.
No, I don't do that.
Yeah. Hey, Tim, we missed what you said earlier because you were still muted. What did you say something earlier that?
Oh, no, I just, he said amortization, and I said it sounds more like a rationalization.
Right.
Okay,
Shots
Tim.
Fired.
It's an isation, okay?
Yeah. It's an isation.
You could say the same thing about me in Liverpool jerseys. So yeah.
Is that what you have today?
Yeah, this is the away jersey from last year.
Wow, can we see it?
Uh-huh.
Nice.
And I got my name on the back. I don't know if you can see that.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
All right.
So it's probably about the same as a Novos.
Yeah. Oh, the new Nike jerseys this year, it cost me $165.
Yeah. Sports uniforms and jerseys are hardcore. For me, my guilty pleasure is basketball jerseys. Cirroc, you probably have a few too. Those are a pretty penny, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I have a few. I actually used to collect the, back in the Michael Jordan days. I have my Michael Jordan home and away and the 45 jersey and all the jerseys that he had. But then I started to just collect my own jerseys. At some point I was playing enough basketball where I would get my own jerseys. So
nice.
I have a significant collection of my own jerseys, like Tim has his own name on the back. So it's pretty cool.
Do you have like a most embarrassing jersey of like a player that you thought was going to be really good and he turned out to not end up being great? Or was it just all Jordan?
No, I stuck with Jordan, Shaq. I only have Jordan, Shaq, and Kobe.
No Dennis Rodman.
I didn't get a Dennis Rodman jersey. I didn't get any other players. It was only the Jordan jersey. Really, I only bought the Shaq jerseys because I was a friend of Shaq's and I was hanging out with him for a while, so I wanted him to sign them. So the Shaq jerseys I have are all signed by him, and I won't wear it. So
yeah,
they're just sitting there. But
no Brian Shaw jerseys.
Yeah. No jerseys.
All right. So today we reviewed a cool and fun Ferengi episode, as Homer well knows.
Yeah.
I don't know how many of you have seen it recently, but it was a great one because it brought up, the struggles of women's rights through the lens of the Ferengi, which is like uber magnified. And they really go outrageous with it, but it's to make their points. It's really interesting to make us kind of review our own history. We also had Cassidy Yates, finally a first episode for her, so that was really exciting. And as Cirroc pointed out, this episode kind of had the formation of two strong female characters, which was Cassidy Yates and Ishka. So that's kind of what this episode was about. It was a really fun one. So I don't know, how many of you have seen the episode recently?
I looked at it today.
Oh, cool.
I was prepared.
Sue, did you have any thoughts on the episode? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you want more of it?
I've always liked it because it's actually relevant to what's going on in some ways today. I love the costuming. I can't believe I'm even saying that, but man, the baubles and everything on Brunt's clothes, and is it Ishka? Is that how you pronounce her name? That is some serious work that they put into those costumes.
What are baubles? I've seen that around.
Well, they had on Brunt, they're long things with beads on them with a bead on the end. That takes a lot of time. It's all handwork. I mean, how much time do they put into the costumes like that? I'm just amazed at the work. Most people don't think about that. I'm a doll maker. It's one of my hobbies. Not boring dolls, funky dolls, art dolls.
Funky dolls.
But they take a long time. And I think of that, the beadwork and the Ferengi costumes in general are
super elaborate. Yeah.
Where do they get that fabric? I want to know where they shop.
Do you have any secrets for her, Cirroc?
The secret is Bob Blackmon, one of the most talented costume designers in the business. He's just a miracle, and he gets these fabrics, he mixes them together. Like in this particular episode, Quark's outfits were so elaborate. I mean, if you look
at those little details of like little pins and everything, unbelievable.
Yes, and the texture of the fabric and the matching of the colors and patterns. I just thought, I actually made a note of how elaborate it was too. And also Moogie's moo was like a cocktail dress that had all these, like this really elaborate beadwork. I love the colors and the sparkly to it. So I think that they did a fantastic job. Yeah. And her earrings, obviously, the accessories with the earrings and whatnot. Definitely talented guy. Bob Blackmon, he's the man. And when he's going to outfit you, you're going to get something that's never been, seen before.
So I have a question for you. Do you have anything from the show? Were you allowed to keep anything? I know they had a thing, was it Christie's or one of those things where they sold a whole bunch of Trek stuff. But were you allowed to keep anything as a souvenir?
No, I wardrobe wise, no. That was the strictest department besides the props department. So Obviously, if they gave you a phaser or some kind of iPad to work with, then right as soon as they say cut, print, the props department was like, as soon as you turn around, he was right there like, give me that stuff. I need that bag. I need that tricorder or whatever it is that you're holding. So that was just taken away from you right away. So you didn't really have time to, take it back to your trailer and play with it, or maybe take it to your house. So that was, and then the wardrobe was also, as soon as they're right on you to get that stuff. The only thing I did get, which I meant to show you guys on the last episode, was in the episode Explorers that we just covered before this, was a bunch of star maps that we used to chart the galaxy and find our way to Cardassia. And I took one of those maps.
Wow. So you still have it?
I still have the map. Yeah, I've been meaning to frame that map and put it up, but I still have it rolled up the way it was on the set.
Wow. You're going to have to show us at some point.
I'll have to show you guys. Yeah.
But Avery does not have that baseball.
No, that's the one thing he was upset about, because he wanted the baseball and he was supposed to get the baseball. But
Mark Alimo took it, right?
I don't know who took it. Somebody took that baseball.
Wow.
Much to Avery's dissatisfaction, because he wanted it. But I do remember Avery telling me that he has his captain's uniform. So he does have that. Yeah.
I think Renee had a bucket.
He got away with it.
Renee had a bucket.
Yeah, I remember that at STLV. He had the bucket sitting there. He said this was one of the ones from that.
Wow.
Okay. Yeah.
So Sue gives us a fun idea for a good question today. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you, Sue.
You haven't heard it yet.
Don't thank me yet.
No, but if it's a good one, we're in trouble.
What are your what's your favorite alien outfit? Whether it's a specific character or just an alien race. I would throw mine out, but I can't remember what the alien race is called off the top of my head. They were on Voyager. Anyway, I'll see if I can remember. Mohamed is still thinking. TJ knows.
We're all still thinking.
What's up, TJ? You seem like it. You seem resolute.
Well, I always have a standby answer, so.
Esri Dax?
Well, yeah, but Anne-Marie isn't here, so I can't throw out Bones McCoy and Dax to frustrate her. But I'm going to say the Gorn from the original series. Like that outfit. It's pretty neat. As a matter of fact, I have one on order.
Really?
Oh, sweet.
Yes.
Nice.
Sweet.
Looking forward to getting that.
Tim,
so TJ,
well,
once you have that, TJ, maybe you could wear that, and I could wear one of my Anobos uniforms.
Yeah.
Okay.
So somebody has to throw up a Gorn on their backdrop so we can see what that looks like. I know you guys are technologically superior.
Who's working on that?
I can't find the
You want me to do it? I'll do it.
Homer can do
Talk
it.
amongst yourselves.
My iPad won't do it, so.
Can I go so no one steals my answer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, Trelane.
Okay.
It's
a very good choice.
It's kind of like Liberace TOS, for those that don't know right off. Yeah. Okay, now I'm going to look for a Gorn.
Liberace TOS.
Yeah.
Trelane.
Some people refer to him as being a precursor of Q. I don't buy that, even though
I roll my eyes every time I hear
that. Yeah, I'm with you.
Don't buy that.
Okay. What about Tim? Mr. Tim Baum.
From TNG, I think the episode was called Metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis?
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if it's the one I'm thinking of, it was the wedding dress. at the very end.
Okay.
It was the episode where she bonded with Picard accidentally.
Picard.
And but she still had to get married to another alien. But her wedding dress was stunning. But yeah, I'll have to look up exactly the name of that episode. But yes.
You said Next Generation?
Yeah.
And what was the character?
She was an alien.
Was she just called the Metamorph, or did she have a name?
She was the Metamorph. She may have had a name. I'd have to look it up. But
was she the one that came out of the egg-like
yes,
thing?
Too early. And she bonds with the first. She knows.
Right.
It was humorous through the whole episode because she would change herself depending on the guy she was with. So all the guys were like following her around because she was the perfect mate. Maybe that was the name of the episode.
It was called Perfect Mate. And I think it was
Yeah.
Famke Janssen, wasn't it? The actress that played it? I think she's later on she was in like one of the Bond movies and a X-Men movie or something like that. There it is.
Yeah. There's the Gorn.
It's the Gorn outfit.
There's the Gorn. Nice.
Mohamed, do you have
we should do that on the cruise as well, Homer.
Do you have a favorite, Mohamed?
I was thinking of just like funny ones and things like that. So there was one from the original series, but I can't remember which episode it was from. I was frantically trying to Google to find it. But they had this uniform where it was just like one side was like red and one side was green. It looked so ridiculous. It was kind of funny. So I like that. I mean, least favorite is easy. The ones from Next Generation Justice. Yes, those.
How did I know? Look at right on cue. Look at that.
Least favorite.
I knew you said least favorite. I said click.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
That would definitely be the least favorite, though, especially for the guy. For the women, it
Who's
would be
cosplaying this?
Yeah, right. For the guy, that's the worst. For the women, the worst is
TJ?
Original series
that's not
Cloudlanders.
Come on, Ryan, you can pull that off.
Yeah, with just like that guy's got a sun. This guy's got a sunburn, man. This poor guy's got a
They did
sunburn.
that on the cruise.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had some people running by.
Yeah, there are always people on the cruise running around the ship with that.
Wow.
Thanks for the warning.
And there's usually just like a communal groan that happens.
Sue, do you have a
we
favorite?
love them too, though. They might be listening.
We love them from afar.
Costumes?
Yeah.
Well, I can't give you the episode, or it's Deep Space Nine. I'm trying to think. It was a man, and he had on a jacket that was made of like squares of different things. Cirroc, does that ring a bell at all to you? I just can't remember what episode it was. It was the most bizarre compilation of things on a jacket, and he was in the bar. Does that ring a bell at all? He was in Quark's bar. That's the limit I can tell you.
It wasn't Morn. It's not Morn, right?
No.
Okay.
No, it was an alien visiting the station.
No, I can't.
I thought that was a pretty fantastic use of God knows what that was on that different squares of his suit jacket. I'll think of it, of course, the minute that we're done.
Luckily, you've bought me enough time to find out what the alien was. I believe it was the Hirogen that I was thinking of that has like a cool outfit, cool helmets.
What about Harry Mudd in the original series with that cool hat? Remember he had that hat that was like bent up on one side?
Or the Daft Punk on.
Oh, the Daft Punk one in Discovery?
No, I'm talking in Deep Space Nine, the Breen.
Oh yeah,
right.
They had
the cool helmet. But,
I want the refrigerator for when it's summertime.
Right.
Daft Punk was in Picard.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a few Daft Punks in there.
Yeah.
So, Cirroc, do you have a favorite?
A favorite? I guess I look at them in different ways. Like if I was going to wear something, just like on an everyday thing, it would not be anything that's behind you, Ryan.
Or a bus seat.
It would actually
Or a
be
bus seat.
exactly. Kirk in the original series had a green shirt with a little bit of a gold trim on it. I really like that shirt and that style. So that's one thing that I would totally wear like right now, just on like an everyday type thing. But if I had to do like a costume contest and really get dressed up, and I would want to be a Borg.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
Very nice.
I think that's pretty elaborate, and their costumes are pretty amazing.
I can't find it, the one that I'm even talking about.
I just realized that we all failed. We should all just said Jake Sisko. What are we talking about? We've got the pro right here.
You know what? I'll throw one out there since Explorers was last week. Sorry, Jake, but Avery was pretty decked out.
Yeah.
In that episode.
Right.
I really liked his outfit.
Yeah, his vest was sick. That print on the vest was like an African style print.
I'm pretty sure he stole it from your closet though. So.
You know what? I would have, if I could have taken something outfit-wise, it would be that vest he was wearing. I love that vest in that episode. So I have to agree with you on that, TJ. That's a good call.
There's a bug on my window. I was wondering if Sue could identify it.
Let me see.
I'll try. I'll try. It doesn't look like it wants to be grabbed.
Wow.
Sounds confusing.
He's not screaming. That's good.
There it is.
Can
Do
you?
you have wings?
Yeah.
Make your screen big.
Yeah, make your screen bigger.
All right. I'm trying. Here we go.
Make you
Make us go.
It looks like a stink bug. It's either
Oh,
a stink
shit.
bug,
Really?
a stink bug or a shield bug. Turn your hand the other way. Yeah, the shield bug. It's in the Pentatomid family. Harmless, unless you're a plant.
He's going outside.
You got to go outside.
Is there a
Wow.
Lost him.
That is
Oh,
great.
Welcome back, everybody.
He's on the window. I'll toss him out in a minute. When you said stink bug, though, I was like, all right, he's going out right now.
He's out there.
They don't really. Well,
Everybody bring your bugs next week. We're going to do it.
That's easy for me. I've got a ton downstairs.
What do you have,
you have a
Mohamed?
really cool bug.
Fruit flies. Every day I collect fruit flies in my backyard for my research. So I have like a ton of them sitting down there waiting.
Okay.
Lucky.
That's right. Yeah.
Lucky.
All right. Well, that was fun. A little bit of bugs, a lot of wardrobes.
I'm looking through wardrobe pictures.
Yeah.
We've got 40 seconds left. What do you got, Homer?
Well, it's really quick. So if you talk to J.G. Hertzler, you can ask him about the Herodian costume because he played a Herodian in Voyager.
Excellent knowledge.
Homer's the man.
He also played a Vulcan captain in Emissary, first episode of Deep Space Nine.
Yes.
He was Sisko's captain.
JG?
Yeah.
He must be up there on the list of most appearances in Star Trek episodes. He's got to be up there with.
I mean, he's on Lower Decks now too. You're right.
Yeah,
it's another one.
He's got to be. He's got to be up there. Him and Jeff Combs and the gang.
I think it's Vaughn Armstrong that's in first.
Vaughn
close to first.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Vaughn's done.
Vaughn plays that little guitar a lot. He loves bringing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Every time I see Vaughn, he's got his little. I don't know what kind of guitar it is, but it's a tiny one.
Ukulele.
It's kind of like a ukulele, but it's not. It's something else.
Oh, is it a mandolin?
And that's what I was going to say.
I think that's what it is. Yeah. And he likes to play that, so he brings it with him on conventions, and you'll see him in the car playing it. It's pretty fun.
All right.
Yeah.
mandolins, bugs, and clothing. But we got to run here. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us at home. And thank you, very special thanks to Mohamed Noor, TJ Jackson-Bey, Timothy Baum, Susan V, Gruner, Homer Frizzell, Cirroc, Lofton, and I would like to say thank you very much. And we'll see you next time on the 7th Rule. No, wait. What I meant to say was always remember the 7th Rule.
There you go.